Okay, we're going to go over Unit 9 test review. And the first section, I have a total of 8 problems, 4 in column A and 4 in column B. And if I do all my problems correctly, I should have the same 4 answers in column A as I get in column B, just not in the same location. So let's start in column A. The first problem I have is a subtraction problem, and so we learned that anytime you have a minus sign in front of a parentheses, you are changing all the signs in that following parentheses. So the first one is going to stay just like it is. The second one, all my signs are going to change the opposite. So I have a minus 6, and then I have a minus 3x, and then I have a positive 7x cubed. Okay, so let's see about grouping some like terms, or at least identifying like terms. Remember, a like term has to have the same variable and the same exponent. And if I put this in standard form, I should have the largest exponent first. So I notice that I have all x's, and then I have x to the third power right here, and I have another x to the third power down here. So if you'll notice, I have a negative 7x cubed and then a positive 7x cubed. Well, those two will just cancel each other out. Let's go to the next one. Looks like I have an x term here and I have an x term here. So I have 4x minus 3x, which will give me 1x. And then I have numbers. I have a negative 6 and I have another negative 6. So negative 6 minus 6 will give me a negative 12. So here's my answer for number 1. Okay, let's go on and do number 2. Moving on down. So number 2, I don't have a minus sign here, so I'm not changing anything. I'm just going to try to figure out what my like terms are. So again, I'm going to start with the largest exponent. So I have x squared here, and I have another x squared here. So I have a negative 6 plus, there's an understood 1 here, so negative 6 plus 1 will give me a negative 5x squared. Next one. Moving on down, I have an x, and then I have a negative 8x. So again, an understood 1 here. So 1 minus 8 will leave me a negative 7x. And then the only thing I have left are numbers. So I have a negative 1 and a positive 7. So that will leave me a positive 6. So here's the answer for number 2. Okay, number 3. Again, I'm distributing that negative sign, so I'm changing all of my signs in that parentheses. So the first one is staying just like it is, but the next one I now have a minus 3 and a positive or a plus 6x squared, and then a minus 3x cubed. All right, let's start with the largest exponent. So I have an x cubed here. And I have an x cubed here. So I have negative 6 minus 3. That will give me a negative 9x cubed. All right, moving on down. I should have an x squared. So here's an x squared and another x squared. So we have a negative 1x squared and a positive 6. So that means we should end up with a positive 5x squared. And then again, all I have are numbers left. So I have a positive 6 minus 3. So that will leave me a positive 3. Okay, number 4. Again, we have a negative sign, so I'm distributing. So the first parentheses stays the same. The second one, all the signs change the opposite. So now I have a minus x squared, a minus 8x, and a minus 2. All right, again, let's start with the largest exponent. Looks like x squared is going to be it. So I have 1x squared minus 1x squared. Well, 1 minus 1 is 0, so those just cancel themselves out. Move on down. I have a negative 3x. And then minus 8x, so a negative 3 minus 8 will give me a negative 11x. And then the next step I have numbers. So I have a negative 1 minus 2 will give me a negative 3. So there's my answer for number 4. Okay, so now let's try column B. and see if we can't have a matching answer somewhere. So let's see. On B, I have a positive, so I'm not changing anything. Let's just start with the largest exponent. Looks like it's x squared. So I have 1x squared minus 6, which leaves me a negative 5x squared. Move on down. I have a negative 2x and a negative 5x, so negative 2 minus 5 will give me a negative 7x. And then my numbers, I have 3 plus 3, well that will give me 6. So does that one match any others? It looks like 1 and 2, so how about if I do this? I will highlight. So number 1 is going with number 2 over here. All right, let's keep going. Number 2, again, I don't have a minus right here, so I can take it just like it is. My largest exponent is x to the third, and here's another one. So I have negative 4 minus 5, which will give me a negative 9x cubed. And then moving down, I have x squared and another x squared, so I have a positive 3 plus 2, which will give me a positive 5x squared. And then my numbers, I have a negative 2 and a positive 5, which will give me a positive 3. All right, so we have a negative 9x cubed plus 5x squared plus 3. Does that match anywhere? I think so. I think number 2 is matching with number 3 on the first one. All right, let's keep going. Number 3. Again, I have a positive, so I'm not changing anything. I'm just taking it like it is. So I have a negative 2x squared and a positive 2x squared, because x squared is my largest exponent. A negative 2 plus 2 means they're going to cancel themselves out, and they're not even going to be there. All right, let's try the next one. I have a negative 5x and a negative 6x. So negative 5 minus 6 will be negative 11x. And numbers, I have a negative 4 and a positive 1, which will give me a negative 3. So it looks like a negative 11x minus 3 is the same thing as number 4 down here. All right, so let's do the last one and make sure we matches number 1 on column A. I have a negative. So I will distribute the negative sign. So we have 3x plus 4x cubed minus 7, and then a minus 5 minus 2x, and a minus 4x cubed. And hold tight. Okay, so my largest exponent is x cubed, and let me see, I'm going to start with this color. All right, so I have an x cubed here and I have an x cubed here. So I have a positive 4x cubed and a negative 4x cubed, so those two are going to cancel themselves out. And my next one, oh, I don't want that color. Sorry. All right, my next one then looks like it's going to be the x's. So I have a 3x and a minus 2x, so 3 minus 2 is just 1x. And then the last thing I have are the numbers. So I have a negative 7 minus 5, which will give me a negative 12. So does it look like that matches? We haven't done purple. So number 4 matches with number 1. Okay, nice job. All right, the next section is a little riddle. So what's going to happen is we are actually answering all the rest of the questions, number 5 through 18, I believe. Yes, 5 through 18. And then we are going to figure out what the answer is and find the answer in this column. And I'll put the number next to it. And then when we're done, we should be able to take these letters and put them in the appropriate location down here. Okay? All right, so let's try it. I'm going to go to number 5 first. And number 5, it just says distribute and then combine like terms. Okay, so I have a monomial on the outside, and I'm going to distribute to the trinomial on the inside. So I have 5 times 3x, which will give me 15x. 5 times a negative 6, which will be negative 30. And then 5 times a positive 4x, which will be 20x. Okay, as far as like terms go, I have a 15x and a positive 20x, which will give me 35x. And then minus 30. Okay, so we'll find that on the other paper in just a minute. Let's just keep going. Number 6, again, I'm distributing, and then I will multiply. Now, I'm only distributing this monomial to what's in the parentheses. I'm not distributing to the positive 3x out here on the outside, okay? So I've got negative 5x times 4x is negative 20x squared. Negative 5x times 9 is a negative 45x. And I didn't do anything to the positive 3x, so just bring it down. And now let's look to see what I do have that are like terms. I have an x squared. I don't have any more x squares, so I'm just going to bring this down. And then I have a negative 45x and a positive 3x. These are like terms, so a negative 45 plus 3 is a negative 42x. So here's my answer for number 6. Number 7, again, let's see, what can I distribute? This 7 is not right next to the parentheses. It's just the negative sign. So this is just like what we were doing in that first section. So I have 4x minus 7, and then all my signs change in the parentheses. So I have a negative 2x and then a minus 5. Okay, so let's see what we have. I have 4x minus 2x, which will give me 2x. And then I have some numbers. I have a negative 7 minus 5, which will give me a negative 12. All right, number 8. I have negative 3 that I'm going to distribute to this parentheses, and then I have a negative 4 that I'm distributing to that parentheses. So a negative 3 times 11x is a negative 33x. Negative 3 times 2 is a negative 6. A negative 4 times a negative 7x would be a positive 28x. And a negative 4 times a negative 8 would be a positive 32. Again, let's see what we have that are like terms. I have an x term here and an x term here. So negative 33 plus 28 will end up giving me a negative 5x. And the numbers, I have a negative 6 and a positive 32, which will end up giving me a positive 26. Okay, let's go ahead and, let's do number 9 while we're right here. Okay, so number 9, again, I'm distributing the negative 2 in front of the first parentheses. And then on the second one, again, there's not a number right in front, but I have that negative sign. So I'm just distributing the negative sign. Okay, I'm going to rewrite it right over here. So I've got negative 2 times 10x, which is negative 20x. Negative 2 times negative 7, which is a positive 14. And then I have that plus 6x I can just bring down. And then I have a negative times x would be a negative x. And a negative times a positive 9 would be a negative 9. Okay, so again, let's see what we have that are like terms. I have a negative 20x, a positive 6x, and a negative 1x. So if I were to put those together, it looks like I'm going to end up with a negative 15x. That takes care of those. And then I have a number. I have a positive 14 and a negative 9, which will end up being a positive 5. Okay, so we have our numbers now. Let's go back to the other page and see if we can't find where these answers are. Okay, I think because the time is almost out on this video, I'm going to go ahead and just stop here, and then we'll pick it up on number 10 on the next video. And once we're done with all 18, then we'll go back and see about filling in the puzzle. Okay?